everybody. It is the night of January 28th, 2026, and I wanted to give like a little mini update. So, since yesterday, I've lost zero point 0.2 pounds, meaning I went from 297.6 to 297.4. Woo, go girl. No, no, that's a blessing because it could have been higher and thankfully it's been lower. My biggest struggle, and this was hitting me so hard today, is that, and I've talked about this in some recent previous videos I've done, is my brain and stomach feel entitled to eating more calories than my body needs to live on. So what I mean is, let's presume I'm maybe eating at maintenance level or something, and when I try to dip a bit below that, then the overwhelming urge to overeat is really strong. Now, in the past, I've been okay, cutting my calories and stuff. So I don't know what's going on. I'm even wondering if it's just hormonal for the moment, because one thing, okay, TMI, but maybe somebody will get something out of this, if you can relate to this. Especially since I've gotten older, but my life revolves around my period. And what I mean by that is, for the most part, my period is pretty normal every month. Every once in a while I will skip, and I do mean every blue moon. It's overwhelmingly, I've gotten a period every month, which is wonderful and stuff. But I go through these cycles where I really want to overeat, and I do give in to that overeating. And then I want to get it together, and I'll start getting it together. And then before you know it, I'm back. Like it's like I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel, and I keep repeating the same cycle. And it's probably a huge part of why the past year has been more of a maintenance year than an actual year of weight reduction for me. And I can't afford to do that this year. And a part of why I was so transparent in my previous video is because, hey, Water Warrior, shout out, accountability. I wanted to put my goal out there to hold myself accountable to making it happen. I really want this for me. I feel like right now I'm trying to jumpstart my weight loss journey again, because it's mostly been weight loss maintenance with someone who is still morbidly obese with over 100 pounds to their goal. But it's like, for the past year, I've been in maintenance, and I'm trying to get out of maintenance and get into burning this excess weight. And today I have been really craving, and I've had to kind of like talk myself off the food ledge, if you will, of like, girl, you don't want this. Like, come on, you don't need all that food. It's okay. You said that you wanted to get down to 279. Come on. This is your moment. It's not going to get any easier. I've had to like have these little pep talks with myself, because if I'd had my way, I would have probably been around 4,000 calories today. As it were, I had like 2760 according to MyFitnessPal, which ironically is not over the calorie allotment they have for me. They give me extra calories because I do 10,000 steps a day. Today it was over 15,000 steps. So they gave me extra calories to eat. But if I'd had my way, it would have been even more. And it's just crazy to me that I need that many calories. Like, for what? Like, why do I need that many calories? You know, and when I say I need it, I mean I'm craving more calories. I had a realization. I was like, I wonder why I'm not really losing weight. And then I like started paying attention to my fitness pal, and I'm like, and I'm gonna be honest about something. I don't always log. So like I might start off logging and then dinner, I didn't log anything because more likely than not, if my calories cut off below 2000, baby, I ate something else that day and I just forgot to put it in there or I didn't feel like it or whatever. And I'm trying to be better because the only person who's losing is me and not in the good way. Okay. So it's important. They say what you eat in private, you wear in public. Very, very true. Okay. And so it's important to me to hold myself accountable to make this happen. And that's why I've really been so transparent on here because I don't want to live this way anymore. I'm tired of having my heart broken because I know that I'm treated differently and negatively because I'm obese. Like, that shit is old for me. But it's like, how do I get out of it? Because all I want to do is eat. And it's like, it's small steps. So, sometimes you have to sit with your feelings, and I want to share that. I want to share two pieces of information to those of you who are struggling, like I was struggling tonight. For one, you have to sit with your feelings. Start logging your food. If you know you're eating excessively, start logging and be honest. Be brutally honest. Even if you have to make your food journal private where nobody else can see it, do the best you can to be brutally honest. If whatever you ate isn't listed, then look for the nearest alternative. Like, I'll give you an example. I had some guacamole from Buffalo Wild Wings, and instead of it might have been listed, but I just said, you know what, let me look up guacamole, and I just put in guacamole, so it is like, just do the best you can. But the point is, if you're seeing that you are above maintenance and you're still not satisfied, or maybe you are satisfied, but you're not satisfied in terms of your results, then you got to have a chat with yourself. You got to figure this out if you want to succeed. You have to be honest with yourself about the food noise and, you using food to cope and your excessive eating and so on and so forth. You got to sit with those feelings and you got to do some thinking, and you got to think, what do I want more? Which brings us to the next thing. One of the hardest things is that you have to learn how to be uncomfortable. And as someone who prioritizes my peace, my comfort, those are super important to me. I'm like a micromanager in my real life. I'm a micromanager to try to make things as peaceful and as comfortable for myself and others as possible. Okay. Like if we were, I'm going to tell you guys a story that seemingly is unrelated, but just to give you a little glimpse into my brain, I guess. When I began dating my ex, he has a son, right? And I consider his son to be my stepson. Even though he and I were never married, I consider his son to be my stepson. That being said, we were engaged, but never married. Anyway, that being said, I've known him since he was 2 years old, and he had a sippy cup forever. Okay, he had a sippy cup. He might have been around my daughter's age or even later when he finally gave up the sippy cup. Like, I kid you not, he had a sippy cup forever. He would not drink out of a regular cup. He hated it. He would only use sippy cups, right? And anyway, here's why I'm mentioning it, not to embarrass him in any way. This is, he's just a kid still. But the reason why I'm mentioning it is that when we would go places with him, my ex and I, oftentimes the absent-minded adults would leave behind his sippy cup because they were focused on other things. So his sippy cup will get left on the table or get left on the park bench or get, left. And then little guy would have a meltdown. Okay, my stepson, he would have a meltdown. And it was a bad meltdown. It wasn't like a, it was like, like screaming his lungs out like we were trying to kidnap him and freaking out. I'm sorry if I'm not saying any names. Hopefully I don't embarrass him, but I don't plan on him seeing this. But yeah, he used to have these meltdowns. Well, you know what? I learned very quickly as merely a girlfriend to my ex at the time, I learned very quickly to make sure that cup was with us. Okay. So I would say things like, do we have his cup? Did you get his cup? Do we have his cup? His cup, his cup. And like, I'm one of those people that sometimes I step outside of myself and I think about how I come across. And so I'm sure I was annoying, but compared to him having a damn meltdown and everybody, that's another thing. Not only was he having a meltdown, but everybody would respond to his meltdown and try to fix it. So my ex would drive halfway across town if he left his sippy cup on the table at a restaurant. You know what I mean? There was nowhere he wouldn't go to make sure this child got a sippy cup back. So I say this to say, instead of doing all that, just check if he has his damn sippy cup. So it's like, hey, we got the sippy cup. Okay, good. So I may have come across as annoying, but I felt like I was preventing a bigger issue. So I say this to say, I know that might sound like a weird story, but my brain, I micromanage the hell out of things. And I just go out of my way to try to avoid discomfort and issues and stuff, whatever. And I say this to say that I did forget. Oh yeah, about the being uncomfortable thing. One thing I've learned, especially over the past maybe few years, is that you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And again, this is coming from someone who tries to avoid discomfort at all costs, damn near, but you have to do it. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you want to succeed in this. Okay, especially if you're someone who you have a food addiction like I do. Okay, I don't think you get to 350 without having a food addiction. I'm 5'6" and my highest weight was 350. And this was back when I was in my 20s. I don't think you get to that point if you don't have an addiction. I had a problem. And I mean, it's much better managed now, but not well enough for me to be under 200 or even under 250. Hell, even under 290, I'm, again, 297.4. So I'm working on it. That might mean going to bed hungry. And nowadays, we have this weird thing about eating disorders. And don't get me wrong, I can be very triggered about eating disorder stuff. When I first heard of intermittent fasting, I'm like, that sounds like a glorified eating disorder. Okay. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure that it isn't for some people, but there is a science behind it that confirms that in many cases, I won't say how many because I don't know, but in many cases, it's actually reparative to the body. Okay, so I'm not going to completely come for intermittent fasting at this stage, but I'm saying that I do think some people, it is a mask for eating disorder, and so I can be sensitive about eating disorders too, but even though that's true, if you've eaten a healthy amount of calories for the day, let's take me, again, 297.4. I think me eating 1,800 calories in a day is perfectly fine. My body doesn't think so though, because it'll be like, girl, you know, there's still some food in there. Go eat something. But in terms of like from a health perspective, I think that's totally fine for me to eat 1,800 calories a day, right? So let's just say I did. And let's say my stomach starts growling, because I'm someone who, by the way, I can eat something and my stomach can be growling very soon after. And if anybody understands that and wants to share that information, I'd be happy to hear about it and stuff. But yeah, that's happened to me many times. So anyway, on that note, um, if I know that I've had my calorie allotment for the day and it was a decent amount of calories, I'm not under eating, like, to what would be healthy for me as a morbidly obese woman of my size and age and everything, and my stomach is growling. I'm going to tell you something politically incorrect. I think it's okay to go to bed hungry. I don't think I'm going to starve to death. I don't think my organs are going to shut down. I think that that's okay. And in the past, I've done that before, where sometimes I ran out of calories and I'm like, bump it, I'm going to go to bed and sleep this hunger off. And then when I get up, I can eat again, But in recent history, I haven't really done that, and it shows. Okay, it shows. So that is something I definitely want to get back into. I'm looking for low-calorie snacks that make me feel good about eating them and kind of, fill me up and everything. I have some oranges in the fridge. Maybe that and a stick of cheese, a string cheese, whatever. Maybe I can have one of those, for a snack or something when I'm really craving. Also, maybe add in what do you call that? I forgot what it's called. My seaweed. Maybe add in a pack of seaweed. I mean, that's like an orange is what, maybe 70 calories. The cheese stick is about 100, so 170, and then the seaweed is 30. So that's about a 200 calorie snack. That's not bad, and I don't think that's going to make me gain weight or anything. So just something to think about. Anyway, I just want to vent. So I'm struggling, but I'm logging my food. I'm being honest with myself. I'm being honest with you guys. I hope this storm of, excessive desire for food will pass very soon. I'm thinking it could be related to my hormones, or it could be just who I am. I guess we'll find out in some days when I get a little bit closer to my period. My period is supposed to start, I think, around February 8th. I'm not sure. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Take care. Bye.